we do a 90-minute program each week called the Gospel Jubilee. Upload it to Spreaker, and you turned me on to Spreaker.
Spreaker's it's a good service.
It is. It really
is. Lots of space and reasonably priced.
I used to use Podhoster.
Okay,
but it was very, very limited on the amount that you could actually save there. But I think you would get like 500 hours of saving your program on Spreaker, and that's a lot of programming. 500 hours. So, but that's what we do now. We upload it and put it on Spreaker and make it available if anybody wants to subscribe to the RSS feed or the just go to the download link on Facebook. We put it on Facebook, whatever. And I also do a half-hour show back on KLPW. I mentioned this earlier. The Franklin Baptist Association broadcast comes on at 8:00 on Sunday mornings on KLPW, and it's been doing that since 1965. And I didn't start it then. I remember the guys over there when I would go over for the other radio show. They would, because we come on at 8:30, and they was on there at 8:00, and they would be in the studio when I would get there, and they would be doing their recording, or not their recording, they'd be doing their live broadcast at that time. But
sure, yeah,
they came on in 1965, and it's still running today. It's got to be the longest running program on KLPW. You were on KLPW for several years.
I was.
Had a couple of shows, didn't you?
Yeah, I did the James Strong show. I did Tradio for a while. I would get up there at dark 30 and open the place up, and all kinds of things that I did at KLPW.
Didn't you do something on a Sunday afternoon also?
I did. It was a recorded show on a Sunday afternoon called The Good Life. You remember that? You remember that? Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that too. And I used a lot of bumper music from buddies that had bands on that radio show. Which I need to ask you, when you do your podcast now, the Gospel Jubilee, how do you get? Because one of the things with the podcast is, I've had people say, yeah, I love the podcast. It's better than the radio show, but I loved your bumper music, and you can't do the bumper music if you're on a podcast because the artists have to get paid. And when you're on the radio station pays the BMI license, so you can play music. How do you get around that, playing the music for Gospel Jubilee on the podcast?
I think it's because we do one continuous recording, and I've never run into it, James. I know I have a lot of artists that support us. They do jingles for us. They do intros for us. I haven't run into anything with ASCAP or BMI or anything like that yet. So I often wonder about that if they would say anything. I know I have the support of the artist. And
if you have their support, that's all you need, because they would be the only ones that would complain,
right? And like I said, they can't really download just one song off of this podcast. They would have to download the entire thing, or they would. And we try to talk over the intro or the end of the song to make it where they can't just take the song off of the recording and use it. And that's the main thing, I think, is some of these artists just don't want their music copied. And, of course, we promote them quite heavily. We'll tell them their website. We'll tell them where to get their music. And that's what they're all in there about, is selling this music and promotions and getting them to their concerts. And we really try to do that. So they really don't have anything to complain about with us.
So you're giving them a free plug, and
bet.
So they're not going to mind you playing their music,
right? Yeah,
and I can see both sides of it, because I've heard artists say, you know what, there's no such thing as bad publicity. I love it when you play my stuff, and then they say, look, this is my intellectual property. I need to get paid on this, and I guess it just depends on what you're trying to do,
right?
If I'm playing different songs on my Dopey podcast, I'm trying to promote my podcast, not their music. Whereas you're doing the other way around. This is a show about their music, not a show about something else that uses their music as part of the whole production.
Now, aren't you allowed, James, to play like up to 90 seconds of a song without royalties?
I don't know. I've had radio people tell me that there's different types of BMI licenses that allow you to play up to 90 seconds. I've been told that if you get the okay, of the artist, you can do it. I've been told you can do it until you get caught, and then they give you a cease and desist, and you back off. And I'm not going to do that. So I just don't play the music.
I've got quite a bit of royalty-free music. If I can send that to you, and you can maybe get something out of that. You know?
I've got that too. But part of the bumper music was, if I would be talking about a topic, of course, the song has to be a song that everybody knows, and it's related to the topic.
Right. Yeah.
Like I used to do at the old Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where I'd play all the
I love that. That was great. That was really good.
I had a lot of fun with that. I will tell you, I stopped doing that because of the 2-hour show. The last maybe 10 minutes was Good, Bad, and Ugly. And that was probably about 60% of the production work. That last 10 minutes.
Really?
Getting the song and making sure that, because you can't talk too long, you can't play too long, because you run up against a break. And then, okay, I know I've got 7 minutes to do the last Good, Bad, and the Ugly for the top of the hour before the show's done. I've got 3 minutes of spots to play. It's 10 minutes till, and the guy I'm talking to on the phone, who's an interesting caller, I can't get him off the line. So now it's truncated. And I thought, talking, this is a show for the folks anyway, so I'm not going to cut people shy. So I just cut the whole feature out. It was a lot of production work, plus for some reason, the last 10 to 15 minutes of a show, that's when everybody calls in. I don't know why that is, but that just says how. So I just cut it out, and I enjoyed talking to the callers more than
now, you don't take calls on this show, though, right?
I don't. I could, though. With this new Roadcaster, I could, because I've got 4 pots with microphones. Then I've got 2 pots with for an iPhone, basically. You can plug an iPhone or any smartphone, I guess, into one pot, and then you can also do one off of Bluetooth. And I've tested them, and the thing is they'll say, it sounds like it sounds like you're in the studio. Nah, it doesn't. It sounds like you're on the phone. Okay. And I like the interaction of someone sitting across the table, and it's just, the audio's better. It's just a better format.
I did a comparison when you first went to this, with your older, previous podcast and with this one, and this one has, I think, a lot better presence, with your voice. It just sounds more natural. It sounds like you're actually just sitting here talking to us.
Yeah, it does. And thank you for noticing. I've had most everybody tells me the same thing. A handful of people say, I can't tell the difference. I thought, what are you listening on then? And they may
I've listened on headphones,
Yeah.
I have to really hear it,
Yeah. So. And but the old box just shot craps. It was time for a new one. That's all. And now I have one.
Yeah.
On your podcast, you mentioned to me, and I never knew this until you told me, about how you can use Siri or Alexa or one of the other spy bots, if you want to call them, to sit in your house and listen. You just tell them, hey, play such and such, and they'll pick up the James Strong Show. They'll play the Gospel Jubilee. They'll play any of that stuff. Just tell them to.
There's with Spreaker on the Echoes devices, you say the wake word, and then you have to tell it to tell Spreaker to play the Gospel Jubilee, and it will play that. On yours, I'm thinking it's you tell Spreaker to play the James Strong podcast show. I believe you have to say it just right.
Yeah.
What is your title of your? Is James Strong Show?
The James Strong Show podcast.
Okay, that's what you would have to say then. Play the James Strong Show podcast. And Spreaker, and once you get it on there, you can just say previous or next, and it'll jump from podcast to podcast, from week to week. Anything that you have saved on your Spreaker website up there, it will save it, and you can play them on the Alexa app or on the Alexa device, Echo device, whatever. But I'm not sure about Siri. I've never used her to play the podcast. I have to have a special app, like Downcast or something like that, and it plays it on there. But
sure. Let me ask you your opinion of that. I mean, I guess I guess I've drunk the Kool-Aid, because so many people say, don't have Alexa. Alexa spies on you. And you know what? I don't doubt that, but I'm hooked, man. It's so easy. It's just so easy.
The technology is so great. And I, for one, don't care if somebody's listening to me. I'm not doing anything that I'd be afraid of somebody finding out,
sure.
you know. And I know that, you know, there are personal things that you're doing in your home that you really don't want other people to hear. But, James, there's millions of people using these things, and it doesn't identify you. If people are listening, they don't know who they're listening to. They just know they're listening to somebody. And so what the heck, you know, I don't care if they're listening to me snoring or, you know, whatever, you know, I don't care.
I would rather they not, but the cobra's out of the cage. I mean, they know everything about everybody anyway. Yeah. It's like the IDs that we're going to have, what is it, next year, I think. If you want to fly in an airplane, you have to have a smart ID.
Right.
And if your driver's license doesn't have the little star in the corner, it doesn't comply, so you have to get a passport. And our legislators in the state of Missouri said, well, we don't need to let the federal government know all that information. I want to say, fellas,
they have it anyway.
Yeah, the government has it anyway. Facebook has it. Twitter has it. Google has it. Everybody has everything about you that you care about or don't care about.
Yeah.
And if you've searched on a app or anything, they all know. Mm-hmm. I get my clothes at Joseph A. Bank. Okay, I like their clothes. It's easy to buy from them. And if I go to Joseph A. Bank because they're going to have a sale, and I look at that website one time on my computer at work, I'll open my computer here at home. Bang, Joseph A. Bank ads. Now, how does that know that signed on one computer as this, then signed on one computer as that? How does it know? How does it know?
Keep bumping your mic so folks hear this bump and noise.
I've got the headphone on. I haven't heard that. We're good. And they know what you look at. They know what you do. I had a buddy one time. He said, "Well," he said, I don't know what the deal is, but I keep getting ads for porn sites, and I don't look at any porn." I said, "Fella, you're not fooling anybody. I mean, they're not just going to throw that stuff up to you unless you've got a history."
Right. Yeah.
So they know what you look at. They know what your patterns are.
But there's so much good that comes out of that stuff. You know, like we're talking about the echoes. I've got, 6 of them in my little apartment, you know, and I love the music coming over them. You know, I can just say play everywhere, and it plays all the music in every room. And you know, and then I just found out yesterday, I guess it was, that on the Echo show that you can take maybe a can of canned goods and hold it up to the screen and say, "Alexa, what is this?" And she'll tell you what it is, you know, what you're holding.
Now the Echo Show, what is that?
The Echo Show is a one that has a screen on it, a 10-inch screen maybe.
Okay.
And you can see, you know, if you got a camera connected to your doorbell or whatever, you can see who's outside. They also have an Echo Spot, which is like a 4-inch camera or 4-inch screen. It's just very small. It looks like a tabletop clock. You know. And
you've got one of those.
I've got the Spot. I don't have the Show. I did order the Show today because of this new technology. If I show it something, I want to know what a can of that I'm holding, and instead of opening up 10 cans to find pork and beans, I can just hold the one can up and say, "What is this?" You know. And, but yeah, I just ordered the Show today, and there's so much other technology, you know, that goes along with the Echo, getting information, listening to the ball game. I love the Cardinals and love KMOX, but out where I'm at, it's just nothing but static almost.
Sure.
So I just tell TuneIn Live to play the Cardinals, and you know, I can listen to the ball game.
Now you need a subscription to get that, don't you?
Yeah, it's $2 a month, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nominal, and you can cancel it anytime.
Yeah.
I did have MLB at bat.